Hello and welcome back to Ruben Tech, where today we're going to be taking another look at the Pelosi, an options trade made famous by Nancy Pelosi with Nvidia. Now, the last video I covered this in detail, and if you are interested in the details, you can catch that video down below. I have a link to it in the description of this video. However, it basically was about how Nancy bought Nvidia call options long with a far out expiration date and a strike price that was several $100s less than the current stock price at the time she bought it. Now, when I first saw this trade, it blew my mind because my types of stuff with options was strict gambling. I would just try to light my money on fire and either just lose it all or blow it up 10x, like say on Tesla, put it 1 week out and hope there was a huge run. However, I was like, why would Nancy do this? And it was a large option. So I looked at it and I realized what a savvy investor she must have been to do this, or whoever advised her. Okay. Because this type of trade allowed her to balance her tolerance for risk and leverage much more precisely than you can do than simply just going long on a stock. Okay. And on this particular trade, she has done very, very well. So then I went ahead personally and I made the same type of trade with Google because you see, I wanted to own 100 shares of Google no matter what, either own it outright, and I had 80 at the time, or own it through this type of option. And so I went through that last video and I set this up. And I got some interesting comments on that video that I wanted to address. Here we go with a comment from Sniper Trader 2023. Sniper Trader says, the other thing you should consider is you don't have to wait until expiration for that kind of return on the option. The share price could go to 200 way before September, so that return would be realized even sooner. And that is correct. So let me bring up the trade. I will explain it shortly. I said I'm going to own 100 shares of Google no matter what. I had owned 80 at the time. I sold my shares, which were long shares, just regular owning stock. And I bought a call option. If you know about call options, every option is equal to 100 shares of the stock. Okay, you pick up a strike price that you buy it at, which means that it has to be above the strike price for you to make anything back on it. And for that, you have to pay a premium. That premium is based on several factors. We'll talk about that shortly. But one of them is the expiration date. I picked a longer expiration date. So you can see my premium was $37.46. So to be in the money on this, to make money on this, I would have to be above $137.46 by the time 9/20/24 rolls around with Google. Okay, that's it in a nutshell. Now, when I looked at this and I looked at my returns on this trade, you can see that over here, I calculated this. If the stock price falls to $100 and everything, 110, 120, I went up to 200. And everything I did, I looked at the expiration date. So I said, okay, I'm going to exercise my stock on the expiration date. Okay. I want to make that very crystal clear. And so what Sniper Trader 2023 is saying is he's reminding us that you do not have to exercise your stock on the expiration date. You can exercise it before that. So anytime up to 9/20/24, including today, I could exercise that option. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and log into the app because I want to give you some current values on this. So when you do that, not only do you get these prices here that I have, but you also get a little bit extra, and I'm going to explain that. And the reason you would get a little bit more than I have laid out here is that in every call option, you have something called the premium. And the premium consists of two main things, okay? It consists of a few more than two, but two large things determine it. And that is one, the intrinsic value. And that's basically the difference between the strike price and the stock price. So we could say on this trade, the difference is $33.57. So that's a part of this premium. But the second thing is the time value. How much time do you have for that stock price to fluctuate, okay? To go up and down. The longer the amount of time you have, the more likely that the stock can go up and hit that. Thus, the more likely you're to pay for that time premium, that time portion of the premium. Of course, other things like volatility figure in there. If you look at Tesla or other things that are heavily traded, like Tesla, then of course you're going to pay a little extra for that, a little extra into premium. But that time value is what I want to talk about here. Because as Sniper Trader 2023 stated, if this got to 200 before 9/20/24, let's say it got there at 8/20/24, that time value would figure into this, okay? And it would be definitely worth more than that. Now, I do not know how to calculate that. In fact, I think you could estimate it, but I don't think anyone can directly calculate it because it is determined by the market. Okay, what is the market paying for these premiums at that time? And by the premiums, I don't mean intrinsic value, which is really easy to calculate. I mean the time value, the volatility, etc. Okay. Now I picked 9/20/24, the expiration date, because that's an easy date. There is no time value. The time value always is decaying. It starts like this and it gets smaller, smaller, smaller. And that's because here you have the biggest amount of time and it gets less, 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 less. The time of as you get to the expiration date, is always getting closer and closer. So if I pick at the expiration date, I can eliminate the time value of the stock, which makes me getting these exact figures very easy. At expiration time, they only have intrinsic value, okay? So, like Sniper Trader 2023 said, you can exercise this before, and if you exercise it before, even if the stock was worth less than the strike price, you are still going to get some premium on it, okay? It might be, I don't know what it would be, but there will have some premium, okay? Just so you know. So that is just very nice comment by Sniper. I probably should have covered that. Another comment, your Glyphskit. Okay, so your logic is wrong. Interesting. Firstly, if it goes under $100 like Meta did, you're apt. I'm going to stop right there. Something important to know, and that Glyphskit is getting wrong, is that he's implying if it goes under 100, I'm aft, right? Which to me would be like worse than where I am if it's at 100. But the simple fact is that I can never lose. Oops, sorry, this is the wrong trade. I can never lose more than my total cost. Okay, so the cost of this trade was $3,746. If it goes down to $90 here at this, I'm not going to lose more. In fact, you know what? I'll go ahead and I'll just put D5 minus 10. Oops. And guess what it's going to be? Oops. Oh, shoot. I don't have that equation right. Shoot. Sorry. that's actually a mistake. The simple fact is I shouldn't. I'll have to fix my spreadsheet. Simple fact is that I can never lose more than my total cost of the contract. They can't come into it. Sorry about that. Maybe I'll have to edit that out. Or I'll leave it in. That was kind of funny. I got to fix my sheet. I can never lose more than the total cost that is coming in. Okay? This cost coming in, this cost I paid, is the maximum that I can lose, $3,746. If it goes to 90, they don't go into my account and take more out. Okay? That's not how it works, right? The option is worthless then. The max I can lose is $3,746. So I'm not more aft if it goes below $100. Once it gets to 100 on expiration time, remember there's always the premium that you would collect in the other cases. But once it gets to 100, okay, on the expiration date, if it's anything below 100 or less, it's worth nothing. I lost it all. So I'm not more aft. Okay, I just want to make that crystal clear. I'm aft. I'm not more apt. Also, if you lose by the date on options, it's a real loss. If you bought the shares, you could wait out the time to go back to cost basis. This is pure gambling. Good luck. This is also somewhat inaccurate, but I see where they're coming from in here. This statement, this pure gambling, is wrong. This is not gambling, right? What I've done here is I have looked and I have carefully stated exactly what my goals are. I know what they are. I know my tolerance for the risk on this. I know that the most I keep going to the wrong one. The most I can lose on this is $3,746. I know that. I am fully aware of that. And I'm okay with that based on the returns that I can realize. Okay? So I fully know that. So this is not gambling. That's not gambling. Gambling is what I used to do with Tesla stock. By the way, I'm not a financial advisor. Please don't ever take my advice to be financial advice. Do your own due diligence. However, what they're saying is that he's saying that on this expiration date here, I will lose all of this, and this is realized. But on this up here, which is if I bought the stock long, if I buy 100 shares long at $133.57, I spend $13,357. Yes, I lose $3,357, but what he's saying is that this isn't realized loss and the stock could come back. That is accurate, but it's also inaccurate. It's accurate that here I outright lose it, 100%. This is realized, right? But it's inaccurate how it's portrayed because up here, I have tied up $13,357. After this loss, that stock is only worth $10,000. So in both cases, I have $10,000 here. So imagine that happens. I have $10,000 here, right? After this loss, I have $10,000 worth of Google stock. Well, guess what happens after this loss? After this loss, I have, if you take this, because this is the max I was investing, compared to the Google stock, I have $9,000, I can't do that math in my head, $611, okay? So remember, I'm gonna own 100 shares no matter what. So here I lost $3,746, but I didn't put in this $9,611 to begin with. Here I had to put in $13,357. That is more than what I had to put in here, okay? So I could go out on the day that I realize this loss, and I could buy $9,611 worth of Google, okay? And that Google could recover this. You might say, but there's a $400 difference. Yes, there is. There's a $400 difference the entire way along this sheet, and that is the cost of having this leverage, okay? So everywhere on here, there's a $400 difference. That $400 is the price you pay for being able to exert this type of leverage, okay? And that is something I realized also, that is why it's not gambling. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. If someone thinks I'm wrong on this, let me know. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just like you guys. I'm out here trading, trying to make money. But I do want to note an example. With this Google, I actually did this. I went through on my account and I showed you guys. Sold the 80 shares. I'd made profit on the 80 shares I sold. I held them for 14, 16 months. Then I bought these call options, right? And I bought them. This is the price I bought it at, $37.46. Okay, I bought it on the 5th. I did this. And right now, these call options are worth $43.40. So remember, to be in the in the money on it, I have to be above $137.46 at the day this exercise. But right now, it's already above that. Google, I believe, is trading at let's just get this up right here on my thing. Google is trading at $139.59. So already I have an intrinsic value above the strike price and premium. If I look at that from my own definition I'm using right here, maybe I shouldn't use that, confuse you, but the strike price $100, premium $37.46, that's $137.46. If I look at the value right now, right, of the stock, it's $139.62. So that is $2.16 above this. So you times that by 100, $216. Even if there was no premium extra on this, I would profit $216 right now on this trade if I was to close it out. But actually, I would make more than that because there is a premium. And so what this is worth right now, I hope I'm not confusing people. I'm talking quick here. What this is worth right now is actually $43.40. Okay, because you have, if this option, you were to buy it right now, okay, that's the premium. You can still buy this option. And I don't mean right now, actually, when I looked this up, which was a while ago, market closed. It was today, but you know, every change in a penny makes a difference. So this would be when Google was I don't know what Google is currently, but let's go ahead and look. 139.57. Okay. 43.40 and its strike price 100. So again, this is what you would make for the premium. The premium on this has now gone up. Okay. Does that make sense? And the reason it has gone up is that it has more intrinsic value, right? Here, the intrinsic value is 133 minus 100, $33.57. Here's $39.57. You can see that the time value is roughly the same. This is $4 over here, $4 over here. What is that? This is almost $5. Yeah, it's almost exactly the same. So the rest of the premium is almost exactly the same as far as time, volatility, all that stuff. But the premium has gone up because the intrinsic value has gone up. Okay, so the premium remains from here, 37.46. It comes up to 43.40, right? Your total cost on this would be 4,340 cents. Okay, which gives me the difference here I have made on this trade. I could do that math, but I can also tell you by looking at it and the gain loss since I made this trade on the 5th. And remember, this could go down at any time. I've made $549.34. Okay, so that's been that trade for me so far. And on my money, that $539.34 is a 14.67% return in 12 days. And this is not too bad, right? I mean, it's not crazy. You buy a Tesla option, you guess right at the right time at Sky, and you make 1,000%. But that's gambling. This isn't gambling. This was very well thought out. Now, I'm even thinking of doing a Pelosi with some Meta stock. Okay. Right now, I own outright 100 shares of Meta, and the stock price has gone up since I made the sheet for you guys. It is what? What is the stock price of Meta? Is it crossed? Yeah, it's $500.16. Okay. So right now in my account, and now it just changed again. Weird. Yes, 5,000. It's gonna. I guess there's after hours trading. Oops. I'm gonna try to get it exact for you guys. Okay, $500.24. Okay, so I don't. Oh, I should have kept my strike price there because I don't know what it is. You know what? I'm gonna go back because I can't look up because options do not trade after hour. I don't believe. Okay, so at 49, 498.95 for 100 call options. Understand it would be a little bit more now because the stock's at $500. But at this price today, like 15 minutes ago when I made this, the strike price of $310 commanded a premium of $202.05. Well, $188 of that, okay, and the exercise date would be 9/20/24, the expiration date 9/20/24. $188.95 of that, of this premium, would be because of the intrinsic value. And then the other $14 roughly would be because of time, which is always decaying. You start off with this much time, the time portion of it gets smaller, goes to zero at the exercise time, the date that's exercised. The expiration date time, the date's expiration date. And then, of course, the volatility, et cetera, et cetera. So now why am I looking at this trade? Well, again, what I like about the Pelosi is this. Look at the capital it frees up. So on this trade, again, for this leverage, you got to pay a price. And the price is pretty big. It's $1,400, right? So let's say the stock went up to 590. Let's say the stock hits 590, which maybe that seems a little unreasonable for August. Let's be a little more reasonable. Say it hits 555. I think that's very reasonable for Meta to hit in August. Now, I don't know if it is. It could go down to 310. That's why I have that in there. But let's say it went up to 555. On this, right, on this option here, I would make $4,295 for a 21.26 return. Over here, I'd make $5,605 for 11% return. So here, my return is almost twice as high. However, you might say, well, here, again, your return amount is higher. Yes, it is. $1,400 higher. That is the cost of doing business on this trade. But remember that this trade is going to free up for me $29,690. Okay? So technically, with that $29,000, I could buy 2 of these. I don't know if I have my thing figured out for this. I do. So with that, right, I could buy 2 of these much higher risk, way more than I would actually want to risk. I would not do that. But you can see I could greatly 555, $8,590. Except my percentage is the same of my return, but I accelerate the amount. Okay. My amount now 5,605, 8,590. But you can see I still have $9,000 in available capital. However, look at this. I'm risking a lot more in case there was a downfall. That I'm not comfortable with. But this I am. This is roughly the same. If Meta was to fall to $310, the strike price on the expiration date, up here I would lose unrealized $18,895. Up here, realized, I would lose $20,205. Again, this is roughly a $1,300 difference. Okay, so that's significant, right? But remember here, I have $30,000 in free capital. I could go then immediately buy that stock in Meta, and the only difference would be that $1,300. So the actual cost, if I said 100%, I want 100 shares of Meta, okay? Which is what I really do want because I have it right now. And that's what I want. But if this was to happen in a scenario, and I told myself, well, if that happens, I'm going to try to realize it back. Just like if I was hanging on to the stock and I didn't sell it, it went down to 310. I'm like, I can realize that back. Or I can gain that back. I could do that here, and the cost of doing business on this trade would be $1,300 roughly. Okay? So again, with these options, you are paying for these greater returns that you're seeing, right? It's not like they come without risk, but it allows you to balance your tolerance for risk with leverage. Here I'm leveraged, okay? I'm getting a greater percentage of return. I'm almost matching the total amount of return, and I'm using, what would that be? 40% of the capital of this trade, right? This would be only 40% of the capital. So I still have 60% of that capital of this trade up here would be $50,000. So down here, because I'm going to do it anyways, down here I have $20,000. I'm going to own it either way. I have $20,000, so I still have $30,000 left. I have 60% of my capital left to deploy. Okay? That's what the leverage is. So again, hopefully that makes sense. If I'm completely wrong on this, you can let me know. We can talk about down below. I'm happy to look at this, but I feel fairly confident in these types of trades right now. I don't know that I'm going to do this one, to be honest with you. This 14, I should figure this out exactly. 1310, this $1,310 premium, it does bother me a little bit, right? I can't help but think it does bug me a little bit. Because also, well, I don't know. It's not too bad, but I if I took this down more, if I took down the strike price even more, I would pay a higher premium, but I would reduce that gap that I could lose like that. That 1,300 would come down. Maybe it'd come down to 1,200. Probably pay enough to get it down to even 1,100, 1,000. But then I would be having to risk more, and of course my rate of return would be less. Okay, the percentage would be less. I wouldn't be utilizing as much leverage. So that's the balance I have to look for. Maybe this 310 isn't right for me. I need to go and find it. And maybe like 290 or 280 would be better for me. Okay, that's what I got for you today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.